Virgo, let's take a look at how March will be impacting your zodiac. Now, this is a huge month for you because you have an eclipse in your sign, and we're going to get into that. That is going to be a major turning point throughout the next year and a half, but especially in March. March is an action-packed month. We have 2 retrogrades and 2 eclipses, and it's kind of like a contradiction because, on one hand, you got the retrogrades that are making you kind of slow down and go inwards, but then you got eclipses that can bring major life changes. And it's well, which one is it? Well, a bit of both. A bit of both. I mentioned this in one of my videos, how it's almost like we're not even experiencing time in a linear manner. Everything is kind of happening simultaneously. That's how March feels. 2 retrogrades and 2 eclipses. It's like we're going back and forth. Now, if you take a look at the screen, you can see I have highlighted your 8th house and your 7th house. And that is because they are both going to be very important throughout March. Okay? The retrogrades, both Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, begin in your 8th house and will move into your 7th house. Then when we have the eclipse will be in your 1st house, but also impacting your 7th house. So let's break that down, kicking off with Venus retrograde because that occurs on March the 1st. So Venus, the goddess of love, relationships, balance, values, well, I shouldn't say balance, that's more Libra, but harmony and finances will be going retrograde on March the 1st at 10 degrees of Aries. It will kick off in your 8th house. Interestingly enough, the 8th house actually rules over shared finances, shared resources, intimacy, deep spiritual transformation. Now, this could be connected with a partnership you have, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a love relationship, romantic relationship, or even any type of contractual partnership you have. This is a time where there could be a lot of going back and forth, reassessing, reanalyzing, renegotiating, especially when Mercury goes into retrograde on March the 14th, that's when the eclipse happens, March the 15th. These dates are almost overlapping. It's almost one thing happens and the next day the next thing happens, and it's whoa, can I catch my breath? That's how March is gonna feel like. March is gonna move fast. It's gonna move fast. So March the 15th, Mercury, the planet of the mind, planet of communication, will go retrograde at 9 degrees of Aries. So this is emphasizing on exactly what Venus in retrograde is doing for you in the 8th house. There's a lot of reassessing and reevaluating and renegotiating. Now, you got to be careful with retrograde energy because it's not really clear. It may be a little misty, a little foggy. Things may not be exactly how they seem. Sometimes the universe, the cosmos, just pushes you to make certain changes or to go a little more deeper, especially when it's regarding the 8th house, so that you don't miss out on any details, so that you are sure. So by the time you are out of this retrograde cycle, you're in a better headspace and you're a little more certain and more sure about the direction you're headed towards. So this is an energy that is making you dive deeper into your circumstances regarding any type of shared finances, shared resources, any type of deep intimacy, spiritual bond, relationship, any type of karma, any type of deep spiritual transformation. The 8th house and the retrogrades are going to make you address those areas of life. Now, both Venus and Mercury will also jump into your 7th house at different times, okay? March the 27th, Venus goes into your 7th house in Pisces. March the 29th, Mercury goes into your 7th house. So this is, again, emphasizing on relationships and partnerships. It doesn't always have to be a romantic relationship. It could just be a partnership of some sort, because that's what the 7th house rules over. All types of partnerships, whether that's a romantic partnership, a marriage, or it's some type of business partnership, anyone that you have a partnership with. This could even rule over conflicts. This could also rule over anyone you have karma with. Now, karma is not a bad or good thing. It's just an energy that needs to be balanced. But with the retrogrades occurring in this area of life, this also suggests you having to go back and forth and reanalyze, reassess, rethink, perhaps even renegotiate and go over certain things. This could have to do with contracts because the 7th house can be a very contractual energy. So that's going to be the main theme of March for you. And what's interesting is the sun will start off in your 7th house, shedding light and really amplifying the energy of the 7th house and bringing a lot of attention and energy to relationships and partnerships. And then it will move into your 8th house. Then we have Neptune at the end of the month, March the 30th, moving out of your 7th house. It's been in your 7th house for a very long time. It's going to move out of your 7th house into your 8th house. Okay, this is like really huge. Really huge because Neptune has been in your opposite sign. And when it's in your opposite sign, it could, depending on your Virgo placements, it can bring, like, yes, there's a beautiful, mystical, beautiful, like, higher manifestation of Neptune. But, you know, there is polarity and there's duality and there's just energies that are completely opposite to what a planet may even represent. For example, Neptune represents spirituality and divine guidance and intuition, but on the other hand, it could also bring a lot of confusion. It could bring a lot of like mist or fogginess and things are unclear and uncertain. It can even bring like deceits. Like that is a Neptune energy. And that's what it's like being on Earth, where there's a spectrum of different energies. Okay, it's not just like there's this one beautiful divine manifestation of a planet. They also have their shadow aspects. They also have their shadow manifestations. So there's a nice thing that Neptune is moving out of your 7th house because, well, it depends on how you see it. But for the longest time, it's been in your 7th house. So if it's been, you know, kind of causing you any type of confusion regarding relationships, if it's been causing you any type of just like uncertainty or there's been like some deceit, well, good riddance. Neptune is moving out of your opposite sign. However, for some of you, it may have been a time where life has been like a honeymoon and you've been wearing rose-tinted glasses, and now, like, you know, that energy is also moving out of your 7th house, even though it's moving into your 8th house and it rules over the more serious aspects of life. I mean, of course, the 7th house does as well. The 8th house gets deeper. It's like taking relationships to a deeper level. It's more than I love you, you love me, let's get engaged and get married. It's much more than that. It's about, okay, now we have to combine all our resources together. Now we really have to commit on a much more deeper, serious level. And it's not romantic in the 8th house. It's not. It's serious and it's deep. Sure, it can have this raw sexual energy in the 8th house, of course. However, it's not the most romantic energy. Okay, when you look at it from the more mundane aspect. However, Neptune will move out of your opposite sign. Okay, that's the difference. Even though it's moving into a very serious area of life, and sure, you got to be very careful with like the shadow aspect of Neptune and all the things that I spoke about, but it's moving out of your opposite sign, you know, so it does make a bit of a difference. So that's going to be huge. And then on March the 29th, you have a partial solar eclipse occurring in your 8th house as well. So it seems like the 8th house is really, really going through like reassessing, reanalyzing, but at the same time, profound changes and things moving forward and taking on a different energy for the future. Let's talk about the eclipse that is happening on March the 14th in your sign. So this eclipse is happening at 23 degrees and 57 minutes. If we round that up, it's 24 degrees. Take a look at your chart. If you have any planets, if your Virgo planets or placements are anywhere near or close by to 24 degrees, this will impact you the most. Now, this is a lunar eclipse, a south node eclipse, meaning there is an emphasis on a letting go, a releasing, an ending of some sort, something changing from one form to another. So this could bring major changes, and letting go and releasing is not a bad thing. Sometimes it's actually very liberating. It's very freeing. Imagine letting go of something that has not been serving you, letting go of a a trait in your life or a lifestyle habit or something or someone that wasn't serving you, or they weren't the best, influence in your life. Like, it can be very liberating. And when you let go or things are released from your life, it just makes room for more. Sometimes it's as simple as letting go of a belief system that's been holding you down, or letting go of a certain mentality, or letting go of your fears. Now, for you, it's going to impact just your overall life and life direction. This is connected to relationships because the sun will be in your 7th house in Pisces, and the major kind of challenge in this eclipse is Saturn. Saturn will be conjunct the sun and opposing the moon, which means there could be some challenge or some sort of restriction or something that brings forth a delay or slowing down, and it's something you kind of have to overcome or navigate through. This is also the residue energy of the retrogrades that will carry on until April. But there could be some sort of block or challenge. It could have to do with somebody else, because we're looking at Saturn being in the 7th house, and here you are in the 1st house. This is your life, your identity, the direction you're taking. You want to move forward, but then if you look at the opposite end of the spectrum, you got the 7th house and Saturn there. So there could be some type of restriction or limitation or something delaying the process of something major happening in your life, or you trying to move forward. But there's something that needs to be restructured or reorganized in order for you to move forward. Now, this could manifest depending on your chart and all the other aspects occurring, but it is impacting your identity, your goals, what you want to achieve in life, your life direction. The 1st house is the beginning of the chart. It's the ignition. It's, what creates the entire wheel. So it's about you moving forward, but then opposing that is Saturn. I like to call him Daddy Saturn. He kind of gives you a tough time. He makes you learn lessons through the tough way, but at the end of it, he always does reward you. So there may be something there that is kind of getting in the way of you moving forward in life, but there is a lesson behind that, and there are rewards waiting for you. So Virgo dominance. I hope March brings you the change you are seeking, and I hope it all works in your favor. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.